not so much happy news when it comes to what is going on in the Channel. A record 235 migrants were intercepted trying to cross the English Channel yesterday. That's official confirmation from the Border Force officials. They scrambled to 17 separate incidents off the Kent coast. But of course, we don't know how many other boats are getting across that we don't actually intercept. The numbers have been rising considerably. Usually it's young men who've been in France, not sought asylum there, and are coming across to the UK, often to work in the black economy, some seeking asylum. We know this is something that Nigel Farage, the Brexit Party leader, has been raising. Videos online, largely ignored by a lot of the mainstream media. And again, quick cries of racist against anyone who raises this. But I don't know anyone sane who thinks it's a good idea for hundreds of thousands of, who knows how many people, hundreds of thousands of people coming across illegally to this country. Let's talk about this with the Conservative MP and Chair of the Defence Select Committee, Tobias Ellwood, who joins us right now. Good morning to you, Tobias.
Good morning to you.
Reports today showing, I say, these 235 migrants intercepted yesterday. Again, tip of the iceberg, probably those who are actually coming across. And the front page of one of the papers, the Mail, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, saying, send in Navy to tackle migrant crisis. Apparently she's furious and she wants to send in Royal Navy patrols into the English Channel to basically catch these people long before they hit the centre of the Channel and send them back to France. It's all very well, that tough talk, isn't it? But she could have done that a long time ago and she hasn't.
No, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I'm pleased that she's interested in looking at the Navy supporting the border force. Let's not forget what our armed forces are for. They're not just there to protect the country itself, but also stand ready to bolster support to any other government departments in time of need. We've seen that with flooding, with the Olympics Games, and indeed with COVID-19. And here we see exceptional weather conditions, incredible calm seas, long days, allowing more boats to then come across. And because of that spike in activity, which you touched on, it's absolutely right that our armed forces should give a hand to the cutter force, the HM Border Force, in dealing with this issue. But this issue is not as simple as stopping boats across themselves. That is the immediate spike in activity that, of course, is a challenge on its own. But you've also got the hugely organized criminal activity that extends right across Europe that needs to be tackled. We need to work with the French on that. And then finally, there is poor governance in the Middle East and North Africa, from which so many then choose to flee those areas. And I have to say the West is partly to blame for that, because we've turned a blind eye to supporting places like Libya. Libya is the main thoroughfare from which most people are making that journey. The criminal gangs are exploiting the absence of any governance there or security to provide that avenue to Europe itself. So there's a huge amount of work to be done.
And this is, of course, where a lot of people will say, oh, we don't have to worry about what's going on in North Africa or the Middle East. It's not our problem. Say what happened in Beirut. People go, well, that's terrible. Not my problem. It has a very funny habit of becoming our problem quite quickly, doesn't it? And that's the issue. But there'll be an awful lot of people listening.
Can I just say, I'm really pleased that you say that, because there is sometimes can be this little England approach. And dare I say it, we've seen it in the United States as well. Donald Trump just saying America first. You can't do that in today's complex modern world, because these problems will come and haunt us. We must take an interest in what goes on further afield, because vacuums of poor governance and poor security are soon filled by people with very different agendas. Yeah. It's so important that we remain committed to these areas, not least a country like Libya, where we went into and we actually got rid of that, helped get rid of that dictator, and then we walked away. We have to be a bit more resilient and a bit more determined. We've become too risk-averse, I'm afraid, on the international scene.
Look, you won't find anything less than agreement with me on that. Look, the king is, though, people listening right now, and people, me included, saying, it's all very well, and I'm very concerned, and yes, by all means, let's have some action in those countries, and let's do something to help those countries. But at the end of the day, there are always going to be basket case countries, whether we get involved or don't get involved. And we're not quite sure why we need to have all those people coming illegally to this country. It is not, as I pointed out to a government minister a few moments ago, it's not beyond the wit of man for us to stop all these people getting on boats in France, going across the Channel and arriving on beaches here in the UK. We don't know who those people are. They're either claiming asylum when they've got no right to, because, of course, they've come from a safe country in France, or they are completely illegal migrants, no intention. They're going to be working in the black market. They're going to be exploited, gang masters and the like, or they are maybe terrorists, they may be criminals. On whatever basis, we don't want them here. Why is the government not able to act at the point at which we maybe not be able to deal with what's happening in Libya right now, but we are certainly able to deal with what happens in the Channel? Isn't this a case of, if there was more will, this would be done.
Well, again, I think it's also to do with resources, which is why perhaps the armed forces can come in. This isn't just about sending an individual ship to a location. That's not actually how it works. What you do is you get a better assessment, intelligence picture of what's going on in the channel. And you do that through drones, through P8 maritime patrol vehicles, through the HM Border Force, through civilian maritime reports as well, and most importantly, working with the French. And I'm pleased that Priti Patel is setting up a new intelligence cell linked with the French to make sure that we can work with our counterparts. We can't do this alone. But you touched on something that's also very important. There's something called the Dublin Regulations, which actually mean that any country where somebody claimed that arrives to, which is safe, they're supposed to then process that asylum application, not allow those individuals to then go through that country onto another country to another different destination. And that, again, requires the West to work more collectively. And at the moment, that isn't happening.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate that. Tobias Ellwood, Chair of the Defence Select Committee. Just really briefly going to bring in Dave Chawner, who's joining me all this morning and listening to all of that. These things are frankly, as most stories in politics, it's a bit more complicated than that.
Oh, absolutely is. And I think that's what's important. I'm getting skewered on Twitter for saying earlier on that perhaps these people are like a bit desperate. And I do think that we
as
need to
you
kind
should
of
do.
the emotion...
They're not desperate at the point they're getting on a dinghy in the Channel. They're not. They're in France. It's honestly, it's a nice place, France.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think what the thing is, though, that people don't have these conversations because they're always scared of being shot down from the right, but also from the left. And actually, we need to have these discussions. I think they're important rather than fear of retribution or personal attack.
Yeah. I don't think we need to have this discussion. I just think we need to have action. I don't want illegal migrants coming to the country. End of. Nothing complicated about this. I don't know why anyone else thinks it is complicated, but there we are. We're going to talk to the chairman of Migration Watch, Alp Mehmet, about these migrants intercepted. Again, 235. That's the ones we caught, not the ones who also got by. This is happening on a grand industrial scale every single day, and it has been for years on end. It's always worse in the summer months. 2 years ago, we were told it's an emergency situation. So why hasn't the government, whoever's in charge at any one time as Home Secretary, acted already? Why does it wait for the Brexit Party leader, Nigel Farage, to actually show video footage of this for everyone else to pay attention? I don't care what your views are on immigration or not, whether you want mass immigration from the EU or not. Well, tough, you lost that vote in 2016, folks. But even if you want that, on what planet do you think that mass illegal immigration is a good thing? No one getting on a dinghy in France is desperate. They might have been desperate on their way to France. Yes, I don't want to live in Libya or any other war-torn countries either. But you're in France. It's a safe country. Claim asylum there. You're not our problem. But no, we are allowing hundreds, who are we kidding, thousands, who knows how many people getting on dinghies, coming across the Channel, landing in the UK. We don't know how many are even arriving. Where do you think they end up? Well, they end up working illegally. Some of them ending up claiming asylum, costing us far, far more in the long run than it would ever cost to have more people in the border force intercepting them and stopping them getting here in the first place. And what about those who are in the illegal economy? All those people really worried about human trafficking and modern slavery. Well, where do you think those people come from? People just like this. And then we have to worry about the probably small minority, but nevertheless, there will be some who want to do us harm. What is the point of quarantining for 14 days? British holidaymakers getting off a Ryanair flight from Spain or France, possibly, when you are allowing anyone who wants to get on a dinghy and pay the people traffickers to get off in somewhere on the Kent coast off their dinghy on a beach there. We are in crazy territory, and I really implore the government to get a grip, because I don't know what people voted for back in December, but it wasn't this. 8 minutes past 8 is the time. Comedian Dave Chawner is with us all this morning. Dave, look, I know you're on the left, and you're a good soul, but come on, this is exactly the sort of stuff that really the governments of any hue should be getting a grip on, shouldn't they?
Well, it's definitely the stuff that gets people hot under the collar, and I'm going to sidestep it like a spineless idiot.
Well, how can you sidestep it? You don't think it's a good idea for people to be coming here illegally, surely?
Well, of course, it's illegal, and anything illegal is wrong. And I think personally, and what do I know? I'm an idiot, but I would come down on the people that are organising this rather than the people themselves, if that makes sense.
Well, the main thing is you come down on the people organising it by not providing them with the customers. That's the key thing. Right, we're going to talk to the chairman of Migration Watch, Alp Mehmet, about this in just a few moments. Right, well, let's talk about this with Alp Mehmet. He's chairman of Migration Watch UK and joins us now. Alp, a lot of people just despairing looking at that footage and really wondering why the government can't get a grip on this. Is it beyond the ability of the government to stop this from happening?
Clearly, at the moment, it is. Good morning to you. Look, this goes back, I think, the current problem to something that the Prime Minister said in August last year. He said, "We will send you back. If you come illegally, you are an illegal migrant, and I'm afraid the law will treat you as such." Well, how many have gone back? 155. We've had something like 6,000 already. We reckon that just this year alone, there are 4,000 who've already arrived, and there will be anything up to 8,000 by Christmas. The machine at the moment is switched to suck rather than blow, frankly. And unless we really get a grip, the numbers are simply going to continue going up.
Why are they going? Now, we're told these are desperate people. If I hear this, desperate asylum seekers, I mean, they're not desperate at the point they get on a boat at the French coast, because they're already in a safe country. France, last time I looked, after the Gilets jaunes exploded, is not a war-torn country. It's a perfectly safe country. They probably passed through other countries before they've got to France. Why are they choosing to come here to the UK? We've seen this from Sangatte onwards, the jungle camps and all that. Why are they so desperate to get across the channel, to risk that very, very, it is even on a sunny, calm day, a risky journey? Why are they willing to do that when they could be in a safe country like France?
Well, word obviously goes back that this is not a bad place to be. If you arrive and you make it here, you will be provided with housing, you will be given money to eat, you will be able to go to the dentist. There are all sorts of things available.
Are we seen as a soft touch? Is that it?
Certainly the traffickers see us as a soft touch. I'm not sure that the people who are looking for a better life see us as a soft touch. They just see us as a place where they will come, and in the end they will be allowed to stay. And until we can demonstrate that they will not stay, that they will be returned, and that those who attempt will be seen to have failed, I'm afraid it's still going to continue, and it's going to get more and more serious.
And this is it. We know that it is possible to tackle these issues because we know what Australia did. Talk us through what Australia did to tackle this issue, because they had a huge number, thousands of boat people arriving, and they took very tough action. A lot of people critical of it at the time, but it worked. What did they do?
The Australians, they picked them up, they placed them on an island and said, you're not going to come in this way, and returned them, those they could, from whence they came. We won't do that. Perhaps we can't do that. We're not the sort of country. Where are we going to place them? We've shut down all our detention centres. The first thing we could do is create more detention space. So rather than taking people in and allowing them to go about their business until their cases are considered, and eventually asylum, 60% of asylum applications are turned down. But even then, they're not leaving. Something like 60% of failed asylum seekers stay on.
I mean, it's laughable, isn't it? When Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, a lot of the Tory voters and Brexiters had quite a lot of faith in. She's sort of their pin-up girl. When she became Home Secretary, a lot of people would say, all right, she's going to get to grips on this. She's always talked tough on this stuff. She's going to deliver. She's talking about getting the Navy in and they could tackle it. And Chris Philp, who works in her department, is going to head to talk to the authorities in France next week. I mean, talking tough is all very well, but I mean, even the cost of extra border force stuff, that is a drop in the ocean compared to the cost of dealing with these asylum seekers and illegal migrants, call them what they are, when they actually get here. This is money that would be well spent.
Well, absolutely. Enforcement, frankly, is all but gone now.
Yeah.
There's a small amount of money, a proportion of the overall budget spent on enforcement. So we could start by boosting that, certainly. But it isn't just enforcement. And I know, talking tough, bring in the Navy, send in the Navy. What are they going to do? What is the Navy really going to end up doing? It's going to be a search and rescue operation, frankly, and we will end up actually with more arriving because they know they will be picked up safely and brought here. So I'm not, it may sound good and I'm sure it's going to be popular, but in practice, I'm not sure that sending in the Navy is actually going to make very much difference.
No, indeed. And also, I think it's very important to remember, again, we saw a lot of footage yesterday, and that had boats with lots of women, including a pregnant woman and children. And a lot of people were very sympathetic. Most of these boats are healthy young men. They paid large sums of money, often their families put together large sums of money. But we also know what happens to these people. They haven't just got on a boat. It's not a sort of a week-long journey they've done. It's often many, many months, sometimes even years. A lot of these women are pregnant because they've been raped, because that's the price of them getting on those boats and working towards getting the money to pay the traffickers to get on those boats. The system that is operating across North Africa and the Middle East for these people to get on these boats is absolutely, it's disgusting, it's exploitative, and there is huge sums of money in it, and these people are being exploited, but we are encouraging that exploitation by tantalizingly offering this pot at the end of the rainbow, aren't we?
Well, I'm afraid that's absolutely right, and it's a huge business. The money they pay to get onto one of these dinghies ranges, and it's not just getting on the dinghies, but quite often the arrangement has been made long before they arrive at the coast in northern France. It's varied from something like £12,000-13,000. Now, apparently, it's fallen to around £4,000. But even say, on average, if something like, £5,000 is paid, you're still talking about millions of pounds. And that is where the money is being made. 6,000 people at £7,500 each. It's 45 million quid, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That's why, when they're getting away with it, of course they're going to encourage people. Of course
they are. Absolutely.
To get onto the boats.
Absolutely. Alp Mehmet, thank you very much. Chairman of Migration Watch UK. Appreciate